Hi, I'm Andrew Clark, the Logistics Optimizer. I'm going to run you through my new infographic that I created to explain what our warehouse management system does, why you would want it, what are the kind of the indications within your business that now might be the time that you need to move to a warehouse management system, and then the difference between what a warehouse management system does versus the business systems you're using now. Now, everybody's different. You might be a simple e-commerce business and you're shipping direct and you've got Shopify and Xero. So, you're starting to scale up and now a warehouse management system needs to fit into that puzzle. Or you might be another level up in terms of complexity of your business. You're doing retail and wholesale replenishment as well as online, and you've got Shopify and an inventory management system like Sin7 or Unleashed or one of the other inventory systems tied into Xero or QuickBooks. So you're starting to build a little ecosystem of cloud applications, and you've probably got a CRM and other marketing sort of activities and systems all connected into that, probably connected to some marketplaces. So now your business is starting to get quite sophisticated. Okay, so the difference with a warehouse management system versus all those other systems, or an ERP, which is kind of like all of those things combined into one multi-modular system. The difference is that a warehouse management system manages the physical movements of activity in your warehouse, and that is all it does. And when you look at the individual modules in other systems, inventory systems and accounting systems, they're really designed at giving you really detailed financial control over your inventory, but they don't do the physical things so well. Some of the inventory systems have like a WMS add-on, but and look, they're okay, and they're probably not a bad place to start if you're quite small. But warehousing quickly gets complicated, and what these little add-on WMSs tend to not be able to do is give you the sophisticated workflows and functionality that a true warehouse management system will give you. So if you want to find out more about the benefits of that, then the best thing to do would be to book in with me and do a warehouse assessment and then a WMS demo, and we'll go into details of how the WMS would work within your particular application. So if you want to find out more about that, then hit me up on LinkedIn. You can find me as Andrew Clark, the Logistics Optimizer, or you can go to my website. My phone number's on there, and you can also book a meeting with me directly through there, or a warehouse demo. So let's just go through this and look at the 7 key activities that happen in every warehouse, or at least should be happening in every warehouse, and then how the warehouse management system plays into that and solves those issues and helps support those operations within your business. So the first one is the receiving process, and if we have a look over here, I've got some lovely little diagrams of warehouses which I have created in SketchUp, in 3D design tool that I use for warehouse design. You can see my other videos on that. So receiving. Now, I guess the big benefit of what a warehouse system does is it takes all of the things that you would do on paper and sit down at a desk and do your confirmations, after you've counted your stock on paper. It now takes all of that and puts it onto a mobile device like this Cypher device I've got here, and it gives you a system-directed mobile workflow to do anything you need to do within the warehouse. So in the receiving context, you're going to call up a purchase order, and it's going to have all of the items you need to receive on that, and then you're going to work through, you're going to scan your items. If there's a barcode to scan, or you're just going to select them, you're going to identify the product, the quantity that you've received, the unit of measure, which is really important in a warehouse. So is it a carton? Is it an age? Is it a pallet load? So you can do all that. And then you're going to receive it, and you're either going to stage it into a receiving location and receive, multi-pallet loads or multiple quantities of material. Perhaps you'll receive it onto a license plate, like a trolley, where you're going to walk around the shelves and put it away if you're in a typical e-commerce warehouse. Or you might be receiving pallet loads, in which case you're going to receive that pallet and then put those pallets away into your reserve storage in your pallet racking. So That gets further complicated still, because let's say you're importing and so you're receiving container loads of products. Only there's not one purchase order covering that container. No, it's never as simple as that. You have multiple purchase orders within a container, so you need to build up an inbound delivery that collects all of the elements from across multiple purchase orders that covers that particular receipt, so that you can use one document to receive that against, instead of having to bounce around between different purchase orders. So this is the kind of functionality where that really improves your operations. And the other key thing is that when you do it on the mobile workflow, what you're doing is you're not writing things down on pieces of paper and then, subject to transcription errors and all that kind of stuff when you go back and confirm it. Who knows when, sometime later. Maybe you'll go and do it straight away, but maybe like you stick it in the pile and someone else does it and they do it tomorrow. So all that work you've done today doesn't actually get recorded and recognised in the system. You can't ship anything until you've actually put it in and got that stock into inventory. So speed of process is important. So when you use the mobile workflow with the barcode scanner, what that gives you is that confirms the stock into your system at the same time as you are doing the physical process. So you can scan things to improve the accuracy. If you don't have labels, you can print barcode labels to ID your product if you need to do that. You can also use the system without barcodes if that's not important to you, or if it's just going to be too hard to do your barcoding, then that's fine. We'll just default the product code in whenever you need to scan a product code. We'll just put it in there in the system instead. So receipt by purchase order, receipt by delivery. So you're doing complex, parts of different purchase orders. The other thing is that some people really, they just buy opportunistically. So they don't necessarily have a purchasing process, and stock just lands on the dock and they just need to recognise it as being brought into the system. In that case, you can do an ad hoc receipt or a miscellaneous receipt, as it's called. And what that does, that'll essentially do a stock adjustment into the warehouse and then send that stock adjustment up to your inventory system to confirm that inventory into stock. So suddenly you're starting to see a picture where you've got processes that allow you to do very efficient receipt and processing of stock, the system confirmations, so that you've got real-time visibility of inventory and as fast as possible confirmation of that inventory up to the host system, so that as soon as you've got to put away, then you can start picking the orders for that product. Now the put away process, that's tightly aligned to the receiving process. Some businesses are very simple. They just simply receive it and then they go put it on the shelves immediately. And you've got the same guy doing the same thing. Okay, no problem. So you combine that into one process. Some businesses, in fact, most warehouses, someone's doing the receiving and then they're staging that stock on a receiving dock, and then someone else is going to come along and pick that stock up and then go and put it away. Well, what if with one scan you could identify that stock you're going to pick up and put away? It might be a pallet, a full pallet of one item, a mixed pallet. It might be a trolley load of stuff where you've got to walk around the shelves and go and put it away in a directed path, right? That is then the key to efficient put away. You've got the system telling you where to put that stock. There's no operator just going, oh, I'm going to put it here, I'm going to put it there, who knows, right? You've also got visibility down at the location level, the bin location level, so that as you're tracking this stock into the warehouse, you're actually identifying exactly where you put it. That might go into a reserve location, and then later on you're going to do a replenishment, which we'll get to in just a minute. So we've done our receipt, and now we're really talking about the move process. So the move process is the put away, or whenever you decide, hey, that's in the wrong place, I need to move that stock from here to there. And those moves can simply be user directed, where someone's just deciding to move stock around for whatever reason you need to do that. Or you can create system directed moves. So you can build essentially a list of moves that you need an operator to do, to a file upload, to put those directions into the warehouse system, and then now the operators can just simply chip through that. So a warehouse manager can plan all of that activity that he needs an operator to do, load it into the WMS, and then go out to the operators and say, hey, can you go and do these moves for me? Or assign a couple of people to it, depending on what there is, the volume of stuff you've got to do. So that's the move process within the warehouse. And then the next one that I hinted at is the replenishment, because often what happens is that you want to have a dedicated pick face for a product, but you can't you know, you've got 10 pallets and you've got a 1 pallet pick face. You can't put all those 10 pallets into the 1 pallet pick face. It's too hard, not enough space. And what you're trying to do with the pick faces within your warehouse is you're trying to concentrate the number of picks to minimize the travel distance, because warehouse efficiency is all about minimizing travel distance on the put away and on particularly the picking. And generally picking is the most labor intensive activity in the warehouse, so that is the thing that gets the most attention and the most optimization. You go around and look at most of the tools around automation or around what warehouse systems are trying to do. All of the focus is on how to optimize the pick process, which we'll get to in just a second. So with the replenishment process, it's essentially just a directed move. Set up a pick face and you go, I want to keep, you know, a pallet or 2 pallets or a few boxes, whatever the quantity is, into that pick face. And then when it falls below a certain level, because you pick it out, as you pick it down below a certain level, then it triggers an automatic replenishment move. And then an operator who's in charge of replenishment can go and do those replenishment moves and move them on demand as they're picked below their thresholds. Or you can just trigger a manual replenishment and go, you know what, before I pick today, I'm going to top up all my pick faces and make sure that they're full so I'm covered for the day and I don't have to do any replenishment during the day. So that is the replenishment process. Next, we're going to get on to picking. Now, picking is where the magic really starts to happen. Now, again, this totally depends upon the business, what sort of picking would be the most appropriate picking for your business. If you're picking full pallets and doing bulk picks, that's kind of like easy warehousing on Easy Street, really. You drive around a forklift, you pick a pallet out, and then you go stick it on the dock and you're loading trailer loads. Beautiful. If you've got that sort of business, you're fantastic. Very straightforward. So then the next kind of level down of complexity down from that would be you're doing carton picking and you're building mixed pallet loads of product. Again, you're probably just picking one order at a time here, like with the bulk loads, and you're going to build those pallets and then you're going to stage them on the dock and then you're going to stick your address labels on and ship them out. So that's the next level down, is the carton picking. Then, of course, you start to get into the e-commerce world or the smaller scale distribution, maybe a retail store replenishment, because sometimes they're not terribly big, depending upon the nature of the business. So now you're probably getting into multi-order picking, where you can physically pick 2, 3, 4, 5 orders at a time onto a pallet or a trolley or whatever it is you've got to pick onto. And so you want to maximize that pick batch size, right, for those picks, so that in one pass through the warehouse you end up picking 4 or 5 orders at a time. And that might be picked and packed into the shipper. That would be ideal if you can make that happen. Depends, again, totally situational dependent. Some people can do that within the business, some people can't. But with the multi-order pick process, you get directed to each of the pick locations, again, in a logical sequence through the warehouse that you can set. And then you pick and you sort to each individual order as you go through that picking process. The next level down is really high volume, small order picking that you see in e-commerce businesses where typically people pick, it's just like 1 item per order, maybe 2 items, 3 items tops, right? So in those sort of circumstances, you have a lot of orders, and if you've got small things, then you can pick a lot, you can fit a lot onto a trolley load, all right? But if you just pick 100 items onto a trolley, suddenly that is just massively unwieldy. You take those 100 items to a packing bench, and you've got to figure out which item belongs to which order, and you've got to assemble it. That can be a real nightmare because it's just too much to physically handle in one time. So again, with our WMS, and this is not a common pick path. Lots of people have multi-order picking or cluster picking, as it's often called. In the Logistics Cloud warehouse management system, we have multi-batch picking. Now, multi-batch picking means that instead of picking and sorting to order, you pick and sort to a batch of orders, which might be picked into a tub, usually some sort of tub or tote or cardboard box or something, onto a trolley. So you size your trolleys according to whatever makes sense for your business, right? A suitable batch size for you to go around and pick. And let's say you can fit, say, 6 tubs on a trolley. And then in each of those tubs, you have 10 orders, right? Could be 5, might be 15, might be 20, just depends. But you can fit a typical batch of 10 orders into each tub, and so if you've got 6 tubs, now you're picking 60 orders at a time in one pass through the warehouse. You're not bouncing around back and forth trying to pick these things individually, or grabbing 5 pick slips and grabbing 5 things and then running back. Trying to do this without a WMS is a bit of a nightmare. So, okay, great. So you take those 6 tubs to the packing bench. You have you now have to sort each tub, because we've got a mix of 10 things, maybe 15, 20 things in a tub. We now have to sort that into the individual orders. So that sorting process can be done at a packing bench, or can be done wherever. It's like an equivalent of a put wall, if any of you've heard about the idea of a put wall, where people just mass picking in batch and they're shoving stuff into a massive put wall, and then eventually people from around the warehouse accumulate all that stock per order, and then a little light comes on somewhere. So that's the put wall. You get that in automated warehouses and things. Well, we do the same thing, but on a smaller scale, without the automation, just with the mobile device, and just users and tubs and trolleys and things, just purely physical systems, plus the automation and cleverness that comes from the warehouse management system mobile workflow. So then we have an outsort process where you sort you pick up an item and you go, well, that goes into order 1, that goes into order 5, that goes into order 6. Doesn't matter what order you pick things up in, you just simply work your way through, scan the items, and then sort it out into the individual orders. So those are some of the clever ways that you can actually do the picking, to all about minimising the travel path and optimising the way the activities are running within your warehouse. Okay, so what's next? So we've covered picking, we've covered sorting and packing. Well, we've covered sorting, we haven't covered packing and shipping. So let's kind of talk about packing and shipping. So typically packing and shipping is done in one process in our system. It can be split, but for most businesses, they have an order, it's been picked, it's pallets on the floor, it's stock in a tub, ready to be packed. It goes into a shipper of some sort. It might be a satchel, could be a carton, whatever it is. It's going to go into that satchel. It's going to get assigned. It's going to get weighed and measured according to the dimensions of a standard set of cartons, usually, and then, if there's no carrier and service assigned, you're going to have to say, I'm shipping it with Australia Post, Express, or Australia Post Standard, or Star Trek, or however it's going. You're going to nominate a carrier and service if one has not already been put onto the order, which ideally is what you want. You want, particularly if you're in the e-commerce world, your customers, you're either going to have a standard sort of shipping, or your customers are going to go, I want express shipping, or I want standard shipping, or I want this, right? Their location may determine what kind of shipping you use, because maybe you've got certain carriers that you need to use to certain destinations. So all of those sort of things needs to be either assigned at the time you pack the order, or pre-assigned on the order, if you have the ability to do that. Or you're going to auto-assign it with your freight system. Some people do that. So that's the packing and shipping process, where you're confirming what's gone into a box. If you need to, you can go down to the level where you assign products to particular boxes, and you track those package numbers throughout the entire system. So some people need to do that so that I can identify what went into what box. I've seen this typically in the retail context, where you get a retail store replenishment and they want to know, they've got a red hot item they need to get. They just got 20 boxes in their replenishment. So where's the hot item? It's in box number 17, right? They need to know that. So, but maybe that's just what you need to track in your particular context, in which case you can do that, and there's different packing workflows that will allow you to do that. All right, that's sorting, packing, and shipping. Now, essentially at this point, we've got our stock in, we've received it, we've put it away, we've picked it, we've packed it, we've shipped it. You think that's done? No, because there is a housekeeping activity that's essential for every warehouse. Now, not everybody does this. I've definitely come across businesses where the idea of a stock take is so horrific and terrifying to them that they just simply don't do stock takes. They don't do annual stock takes. They've got a perpetual inventory system, and technically you can get away with not doing a stock take, but deep down, if you're not doing stock takes, you know that your inventory is inaccurate. But some businesses, they don't do stock takes because the they're just too hard, right? And you get a lot of people in and they're counted and it's inaccurate. It's a real problem. But it is essential. If you want to maintain inventory accuracy and inventory health within your business, then you probably need to be doing two things. Maybe an annual stock take, although I would say the annual stock take is kind of not essential if you are maintaining your inventory health through regular cyclic stock takes. So what's a cyclic stock take? Well, a cyclic stock take is when you count a bit of your warehouse periodically throughout the course of the year. And then in the course of any given year, any given 12-month period, you will have counted the inventory at least once, and for some items, multiple times. So there are two ways of doing this cyclic stock taking. You can simply count a range of locations, and so you just count, you go, I'm going to count that rack, you count everything in that rack, and you go, and you work your way physically through the warehouse and you count the racks as often as you need to. The other way is you have some sort of ABC strategy, categorization of your inventory, and you say, well, the A items, they're the fastest moving, they're the important ones. I want them to be really accurate, they turn over fast, and therefore they're also the ones that I'm more likely to have mistakes with because they're handled more. So let's count them 4 times a year, 6 times a year, 12 times a year, whatever you need to do. And then the slow moving items, the Bs, the middle ones, we'll count them twice a year. And then the ones that hardly ever move, we'll just count them once a year because honestly, they get picked every few months and they're kind of slow and you might have a lot of dead stock and no point counting dead stock over and over again. So what you should be doing is clearing your dead stock out. So if you don't know what is dead stock, then that's an analysis you need to do. If you need help with that, then contact me, I'll give you a few pointers. And so now we've covered those 7 key activities: receive, move, replenish, pick, sort and pack, ship, and count. Now, those are the basics. There are additional things that you might want to do to add in additional functionality into your warehouse management system. For example, probably the most common is that if you run a third-party logistics business or you're doing contract warehousing, some businesses I've heard about, they're just standard distribution businesses, but they also do contract warehousing for customers, right? And it's a pure 3PL business, but it's kind of an allied thing. They're just getting better value out of their warehouse. Or maybe there's some particular arrangement they have. So that now they need to track inventory, not just for themselves, but for other people. Now in the 3PL world, this is called a client. And so you need to track inventory ownership by client. Fantastic, we can do that, no problem. And then if you're doing 3PL services, the other thing that you need to be able to do is you need to be able to bill for the work that you're doing for your clients. So now it's not about the inventory value that you have on hand, it's about what's the cost and how much you're going to bill for doing those 7 activities: receiving, moving, replenishing, picking, packing, shipping, counting. What are you going to charge people for actually the business of warehousing? So what a 3PL system and what our system allows you to do is to set up those activities, apply a rate, a cost rate, like a price to each of those activities, and therefore create a bill. And so in the last month, we picked this many things, we received this many things, we shipped this many things, we counted this many things, and we apply all those rates to that, and therefore we create a bill, which can then go back into your accounting system, like into Xero, or however you want, wherever you want that information to go to. Further complicated inventory management functions like lot and expiry tracking, serial number tracking. There's a lot of things that we can do much more efficiently with the physical inventory in a warehouse system than you can manage in a typical inventory system, because a lot of inventory systems don't do multi-location management, or if they do, they don't do it terribly well. It tends to be a bit of an administrative burden if you're doing full location management without a warehouse management system. You can do it. It's just an extra burden, right? And this system, the warehouse management system from Logistics Cloud, it's a pure cloud system. So the implementation and it's a standardized system. So it's a standardized version of a much more sophisticated underlying warehouse management system that is used by very large 3PLs and big global businesses around the world. So what I've done is created a logistics cloud version just for us with a simplified set of workflows that are easy to learn and that are suitable for what most typical small and medium warehouses are doing. Now, let's say you're a big business and you're watching this, great. You want something more sophisticated. You want bespoke. You want custom integrations. You want like a lot of sophistication in the way you do your warehouse processes. You want to customize the hell out of it. Fine, beautiful, great. Well, the underlying system called Next WMS is available, and we can do bespoke implementations for very large businesses if that is what you need. So I'm going to leave it there for this video because it's now getting quite long. But I'm going to do another video which will cover the differences more about the differences of when you need a WMS and why it's different from the existing systems that you probably have now. Okay, so that's it for me. Hope you found this interesting, and if you watch through to the end, then amazing and well done. And as I said, you can reach out to me at Logistics Cloud Co. Or on LinkedIn, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.